Do what we do here at the James Kalm Report Rough Cuts, and we're in Chelsea, and we're gonna run into the Zwirner Gallery, and we're gonna look at a Raoul De Keyser show titled Touch Games, curated by Helen Molesworthy. Make our initial sweep. This is titled Untitled, parentheses speed, 1995, oil on canvas, 21 by 32 and a quarter inches. Well, I have to thank David Zwirner for introducing me to the work of Raoul De Keyser. I know that he's been influential in Europe. I think he's Belgian. But I think he's been influential in Europe for a long time, and a lot of the neo-expressionists and some of the more conceptual painters like Sigmar Polk have been looking at his work for a long time. It's titled Clothes, CLOS 2003, oil on canvas, 30 by 38. And, well, I was in Europe, in Belgium, I believe it was 2016, something like that, and we were visiting Bruges and some other places, Antwerp, and we kept going into these local museums, and I would kind of scan the walls and go, there's something about that painting that I don't know whether it annoyed me or just made me think someone was pulling my leg, that they could make a painting that was that reduced. And turned out most of them were by Raoul. Okay, this is titled Kalkilgen on two Grunen. So I think that means something like an intersection on two greens. Well, after I've had a chance to look at these paintings for a couple of decades, I realized that what might at first appear to be, I don't know, slapdash nonchalance is actually very hard to achieve, that you've got to have a certain kind of natural concept of painting. This is titled Heliport 8 Gates of Hell, 1985. (19 by 15), and I know that there are some local painters that are kind of interested in a more, I guess you would say, a conceptual approach to painting. And that means you're taking into consideration all kinds of things like your stretcher bars and whether or not the canvas is slack or tight. Of course, here in the New York School, everybody's worried about dripping, splattering, slashing. It's titled Hall, 1984 to 1985, all on canvas 23 by 19. I was going to say, just in this front room, there's a lot of green. I've got some phthalo, earth green. And even though this is very spare, there's a lot of work going in and even scraping through the thin overlays of paint. Well, I just stuck my head into the other galleries and I see that this is actually a huge show. I think there are, if I'm not mistaken, there are 30 paintings in this show. And it's great, they're calling it the touch game, something like that, and I guess that would be an interesting way to think about him making the paintings. This is titled Come On, Play It Again, or this is 65 by 48 and a half. Well, I was talking about some people that are local artists that appreciate this or even approach kind of his idea of stripped down kind of conceptual painting. How do you take a painting down to the point where it's the least amount you can do without it becoming a not painting? It's kind of titled Avon Drood, 32 by 26. I think that people like Mary Heilman have probably been influenced a little by this kind of stuff. Untitled 1991, 64 by 46. Gosh, this is one of the more highly worked canvases. It's 1991. Blindicilla, 1991, 1992, 27 by 19. I think one of the other things I like is that because the work is so kind of sparse, light, that you become much more aware of various aspects of making a painting. It's titled Front 1992, 64 by 48. Like the texture of your linen, the thickness of your stretchers, you know how this is all primed. And like I said, it's like these little globs of paint maybe did the initial painting and then stood back 10 or 12 feet and kind of flicked some goobs, some, what my old art teacher Knox Martin would have called boogers onto the canvas there. Untitled 2006. 13 by 19. Also, a lot of this is very intimate, small, humble. Titled Fall 2007. So it's interesting, he is stretching these without what I was always taught were the hospital corners. I mean, that's what we were taught to use at the Art Students League. It's titled Drift. Untitled 2006. Yeah, somehow I look at a painting like this and think, initially it's like, gosh, there's someone that's trying to paint a landscape and doing a not so good job, and then I come up and start to look at it and think about it, and I go, okay, there's some real interesting stuff like that blue upper edge, the ultra blue. Untitled Blurs. 1995 along canvas 26 by 32. And for some reason I'm kind of getting an echo of Alex Katz. Maybe an Alex Katz painting of water reflections. There's some very, very subtle things going on there. Breaker. Oil and gesso on canvas mounted on panel. 12 by 8 inches. Okay, this is a nice pairing. Come on, play it again. Number 7, 2001, 28 by 19. And come on, play it again. Number 8, 28 by 19. Okay, so this is interesting. Although the paint is pretty thin, you can still see where there's a lot of pedimenti. So he's corrected a lot of this, erased some of it. Kind of like a miniature Diebenkorn. It's titled Construct, 2007, oil on canvas, 35 by 49. Well, when I was talking about his kind of subtle conceptual approach to painting, one of the examples I would say is you've got this kind of a burnt sienna form up here. And then you've got this part down here, but why is this outlined in black? Kind of looks like a Belgian French fry, a Belgian fry. This is titled Prologue, 2003, oil on canvas, 55 by 39. Raoul De Keyser, 1930 to 2012, was born, lived, worked, and died in the small Belgian town of Diens. He began his professional life as a journalist who covered soccer and art. And it wasn't until he was 33 years old that he finally went to art school with the aim of becoming a painter. Some of his earliest works are of a heavily abstract soccer pitch, white lines on a green ground, a marriage of his two dominant interests. Early on, De Keyser was drawn to American abstract painters, although he avoided their melodramatic scale and painterly expression. As his work progressed, his modestly sized paintings remained resolutely abstract. He once suggested that his work was in relation to his everyday context. A tour of my immediate surroundings, my house, a corner of the living room, a doorknob, a window handle, the relation between inside and outside. Yet searching for a referent in his work can be quickly derailed by De Keyser's more painterly concerns with color, shape, line, and texture. This is Exertion, 2002 to 2007. I believe I've seen some of these paintings at another Raoul De Keyser show that I saw here. Gosh, it's got to be about 8 or 9 years ago at this point. Come on, play it again. Number 1, 2001, oil on canvas. Okay, so we've got these kind of white outline forms, and then here in the center we've got a white form. Kind of makes me think of another landscape, maybe like a river landscape, and you've got an ice flow. Okay, here is the largest Raoul De Keyser painting I've ever seen. Auckland, 2000, oil and charcoal on canvas, 75 by 99. Well, again, very simple, very stripped down. I guess a lot of the paintings here in this back room are just ovals, almost approaching drawing. Also, you can see how the, and I don't know whether this is intentional or not, but the canvas is almost sagging. Well, it is sagging. And, well, as I said, that kind of draws attention to the fact that it is a piece of fabric stretched over some wooden framework, and we got some pencil line in there. Again, more green. Presto, 2003. $55 by $39. This is almost like a Rothko that someone has floated down some scraps of color, some flakes of something. I also get the feeling when I look at these that, yes, Raoul would come in and paint in the studio every day. Talked about the work being inspired by images that he saw every day, but I'm sure also that just coming in and sitting in your painting chair and slathering a little paint around was another habit that affected the way you think about, work with, create paintings. Blue Note, 2006, 22 by 16, and again we've got our simple reduced background, a couple of shreds of something, and then we've got our white form, these little blips. Zinkende, 1983. This might be one of the earliest pieces in the show. Well, I like the part of his, the press release where they talked about him liking the abstract expressionists, but kind of downplaying the overly dramatic scale and the kind of dramatic existential angst. Roleplay 2022, 27 by 19. I think not only was Raoul De Keyser influential for some local painters, but I think that there were some critic/artist people that were influenced. I think Raphael Rubinstein wrote a piece about provincial painting, something like that. As a matter of fact, I saw an Instagram piece lately. I think that piece has been translated into Italian and added to a major anthology of contemporary art criticism. Come on, play it again, number 2. This is 51 by 74. Gosh, I'm also kind of getting a vibe of pebbles on a beach, maybe, something like that. Come On, Play It Again, number 4, 2001, 74 by 47. Okay, so I was talking about some of his things he does on the edge. That's a nice example. So that's very tricky. I was thinking maybe Luc Tuymans is another Belgian artist that is very kind of deadpan, kind of real, just let the pain happen kind of a guy. Don't push it, yeah. And we're gonna wrap up looking at this piece. Resume, 2003, 35 by 25. Okay, so we've got kind of his format here of the scattered shapes. Okay, and then we've got this vermilion squib. James Kalm reporting on Raoul De Keyser, touch game. Here at David Zwirner in Chelsea.
Welcome to the 18th anniversary memorial service in remembrance of the killed police officers Eugene Marshalik and Nicholas Kalm. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce the commanding officer of Patrol Bureau Manhattan South, Assistant Chief James McCarthy.
Guys, thank you so much for all coming out. I want to thank all of your auxiliary officers. All right, what you do for us is amazing, especially in Manhattan South. I really appreciate, we deal with so many parades and everything else, and you guys are always there for us.
is share, link it up with all your social media sites, and you can subscribe, and you can leave your thoughts, ideas, comments, criticisms, reviews, and suggestions below. But in our 19th year, as always, we just ask you to say, thank you, kid. Whoa! New 1,000 band. Thank you.
Folks, we're going to take a quick 30-second break.